Some people will make the argument, and many people have, that, hey, man, these weirdos have already infested Warhammer. That's been a thing. That ain't new. And perhaps they're right. But there is some pushback happening right now. Our man Grums, who we had on the show last week, documented this. Warhammer 40K is retconning lore for wokeness. And this comes from people looking at this whole, the custodians, and they're wondering why they're female custodians. And apparently Warhammer, the official account, says in regards to female custodians, there have always been female custodians since the first of the 10,000 were created. Well, that's not actually true. And it's a retcon, essentially, as people have documented here, where it talks about custodians and them being beginning their lives as sons. And sons aren't daughters. I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping on the language, right? Maybe I don't understand something. Maybe it's localization. Maybe it needs to be localized. But I take sons meaning sons. Now, when you start to get the official accounts getting in on this, now, of course, people are looking at shareholder statistics and they see that the old BlackRock and the Vanguards, they're looking at like, oh, it must be DEI for ESG and all sorts of things. Perhaps, I don't know. I can't make that confirmation. But, I mean, if nothing else, it does show how bad things are, that people are, official accounts are gaslighting.
Gaslighting, that's not a real thing.
And J.K. Rowling did, I mean, I know because she takes she has one position. That's the only position, the troll trans thing, that the left is completely turned on her for. But she did the same thing, right? With the whole, what's his name, being gay.
Everyone please, panic.
That was absolutely a retcon. That was never the case. It was a retcon, and went as far as to gaslight the fans and say, well, they were always that way. We get a lot of that. It's worse when you have like a creative that's dead or no longer part of the project, and then they're like, yeah, he always meant it to be that way. And you're like, bro, I've read this thing back to front. That never happened. You liar! Now, I will say this. I'll actually end on this note. This is a terrible way to go about it. Retcon and literal definition is nothing wrong with it, because you're introducing more information and maybe which invites sort of this new perspective from things that have already happened. But now retcon means to fundamentally change things as you understand them, like even if it doesn't make sense. That's really what retcon has become, what it means now in any sort of context, which sucks. This is the way that I see it, and I know there are folks that disagree with me, especially using this term loosely, creatives, who think being creative means that they get a free-for-all with whatever product or project that they're working on. I think it's personally a slap in the face, to fans when, and it doesn't matter the reason. Doesn't matter if you got infiltrated. Doesn't matter if you got to change your mind. Whatever. But to gaslight the fans and then say something, basically, don't believe your lying eyes. Sure, everything that you understood up until now is it was spelled out there, right there for you, not up for interpretation. This was what it was. And then you say, well, no, that's just never was the case. See, that's a slap in the face to customers, especially people that have invested in your product financially as supporters. It would be like I say all the time, I'm doing an adaptation of ISOM, right? And then instead of ISOM being the ISOM that you understand, he is a gay Puerto Rican man for some reason in another adaptation. And instead of being like, yeah, he got changed for the worse, for sure. But instead of saying that, I say, well, he was always that way.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
It's an insult, bro. These people have invested money in it, got lost in it, and you're basically telling them to go screw themselves. All for what? To check a box? For virtue signaling point? I don't know. But it's just not a smart thing to do to your customers. Definitely nowadays, people are far more aware that this goofiness is going on, and they want no part of it. Thanks for watching. Right now, the Rippaverse is in the middle of our latest campaign, Yaira #1, which was written by the Saskas. Head over to Rippaverse.com, pre-order, and check out our first live-action trailer and the latest Rippaverse Studios production, Y'all Be Easy.